What's up, lovers of whiskey and watchers of YouTube? I'm the Malt Activist, and today I'm going to talk to you about 5 whiskeys that I'm probably not going to put back on my shelf again. And they're 5 rather interesting alternatives. Before we begin, a big shout out to my first time viewers. Thank you for clicking through to this thumbnail. If whiskey is your thing, then this channel is the one for you. We have rants, we have raves, we have so many things that every whiskey lover should be looking for, and best of all, we put wallet back in your money. We put the money back in your wallet by giving you super sound advice on what to buy and what not to buy, exactly like this video. So thank you. Please consider liking, sharing, subscribing, all of the above, none of the above. I'm just glad that you're here. To my returning viewers, like I always say, thank you for keeping your standards so damn low. You guys are the wing beneath my wings. The wing beneath my wings? The wind. Oh my god, today is going to be a long ass day. Anyway, let's get on with it. Now, before I fully launch into my video, I want to have a caveat that says this is purely based on my opinion. My opinion is like an asshole. Everybody has one, right? Not necessarily my opinion, but everyone has an opinion. So basically how it transpired is, you know, I have all these whiskeys on my shelf, and sometimes I will buy whiskeys that I like and I'll repeat those purchases. And over the years, I've kind of come to realize that there's some whiskeys that, you know, even while they might be decent, might be nice, I probably won't put back on my shelf again, right? Because I have so many better alternatives rather than going back to those ones. And believe me, some of the whiskeys that I'm about to mention now might seem a bit contentious, right? Because controversy is what we're all about. But yeah, I mean, those whiskeys, basically what I'm saying is that I bought those whiskeys first time around on out of complete curiosity, of an eagerness to try and taste, etc. But as time went on, and as I drank more, and as I drank them, and then I did comparisons, my mind went, yeah, definitely not getting these again. You know, I don't necessarily hate them, but I definitely am not excited by them anymore. Okay, does that explain? I think I rambled on a bit too much. Anyway, let's get on to the first whiskey. Now the first whiskey, oh my god, you guys are gonna laugh, I'm not going to buy again, is the Ardbeg An Oa. That's right, the Ardbeg An Oa. Now, for those of you who follow my channel, I did a review of it a few years ago, and I was kind of like pleasantly surprised. I was like, hey, this is not a bad whiskey. I quite like it. You know, it does the job. And I think that's what it is, right? It kind of just does the job. Now, what do we know? So it's bottled at about 46.6% ABV, which is a very, very decent sort of ABV, in my opinion. It is, of course, non-chill filtered, no color added. It's a well-done Ardbeg. It's a mix of PX, virgin, and bourbon casks, so it has a nice decent flavor profile. Available online for about £52, which again, not a bad price for a non-age statement whiskey. Why do I not like it? I think it's safe. I think it's too safe. I think it's too over-engineered, in my opinion. You know, it doesn't have that oomph that Ardbeg that I know of can produce whiskeys today, and which it is doing, you know, or that the whiskeys that it produced in yesteryears. I feel that the An Oa is so over-engineered that it is almost vanilla. It's bland. Vanilla is one of the very major flavor profiles in there, I have to admit. But it's pretty bland if you ask me. It doesn't reach out and grab me by the throat and say, hey, I'm here, drink me, experience me, right? It's one of those whiskeys that, you know, if I'm at a friend's house and I get offered it, I wouldn't say no, but I'd be like, yeah, sure, I guess, why not? Can't go wrong, right? Who cares? And that is the kind of indifference that I'm talking about, which I kind of feel with the other whiskeys that are on this list as well, which I feel I have experienced. And for that reason, I'm not going to put the An Oa back on my shelf. What I would definitely put back on my shelf again, in place of that, is the Kilchoman Macherbey. That's right. Also bottled at 46%, essentially bourbon and sherry casks. Yeah, bourbon and sherry cask, bourbon and sherry cask. Shit, I don't know. But this is not about maturation. This is just about drinking experience. So if I'm wrong, please let me know. But I think it has bourbon and sherry casks in it. Yeah, available for about 46, 47 pounds, so about 10% cheaper than the Ardbeg An Oa, but with such a more profound flavor experience, you know, that medicinal brine, those zesty lemons and limes and everything in between. It just makes for that much more of an interesting drinking experience, and the smoke and peat so wonderfully balanced against the sweetness. So for me, the Kilchoman Macher Bay definitely head and shoulders above the Ardbeg An Oa, and something that I would definitely keep buying over and over again, not only because it's cheaper, but it's also a much bigger, more amazing flavor bomb as compared to the, in my opinion, the overly engineered Ardbeg An Oa. Sorry, Ardbeg, I love you, but you know, I gotta call a spade a spade. The next whiskey on my list, which I would definitely not buy again, is the Lagavulin 16-year-old. Oh, Lagavulin 16. I'm gonna be honest with you. I fell in love with whiskey because of the Lagavulin 16. And this is many years ago, right? But as time has progressed, I have developed this sense of disappointment, if you like, for the Lagavulin 16. I mean, it's coming in at 43%. I have a feeling it's definitely colored. It has a decent flavor profile, but you know what my problem with it is? It's 88 pounds. That whiskey is 88 pounds, right? And it's gone up tremendously in price over the years. And for me, it just doesn't offer the same drinking experience that earlier batches used to. Now, I mean, it's still a 16-year-old, so I don't really know where the issue happened, but it just feels a bit lackluster to me. I don't think it delivers on what it used to deliver on, and you know, and for 88 pounds, man, I don't think that is a good deal. Because if I want to experience good smoke, lovely sort of maritime flavors, something that is unique, something that tells me, yes, drink me, I would go for the Late Check 10-year-old. Yes, the Late Check 10 for me is a great alternative to the Lagavulin 16. Why? Because it's half the price. Let's start with that. It's half the price. It's bottled at 46.3% ABV. So, I mean, where are you going wrong? You're not going wrong. You can't be going wrong, right? I mean, the Late Check 10, I believe I crowned it my whiskey of the year a couple of years ago, which is saying a lot given what an elitist asshole I am. And especially when you compare it to the Lagavulin 16, I think the Lagavulin 16 really doesn't offer much from a drinking experience perspective. And at 88 pounds, it's a definite no-no in my books, because for half the price, the Late Check 10, I think is a definite champion when it comes to smoke and cool industrial flavors. Oh, I love the Late Check 10. Buy that. Don't buy the Lagavulin 16. No. The third weird one on my list, which is kind of like a given, is the Johnnie Walker Blue Label. The Johnnie Walker Blue Label, come on, man. Bottled at 40%. Okay, fine. Most blends are bottled at 40%. But do you know what the price of the Johnnie Walker Blue Label online is? It's for about 175 pounds. That's right, 175 pounds for a bottle of Johnnie Walker Blue Label, which, by the way, a NAS blend, if you ask me. And again, you know, what do I get from a drinking experience? Nothing really much. I mean, I get some butterscotch, I get some vanilla, I get a hint of smoke from the Kalila, and I think it's an okay drinking experience. It's nice, you know, when you go to a friend's bar and he has a bottle of Johnnie Walker Blue Label sitting on the shelf and he says, oh, look, I can buy expensive alcohol. And I think that's all that is good for, because what I genuinely drink, what I actually end up drinking from a blended perspective, I am a huge fan of the Chivas Regal 18-year-old. That's right, age statement blend, 18-year-old, of course, also at 40%. But what a tremendous drinking experience. So much more flavors, such a big flavor profile. And guess what? You can get it for 100 pounds less. That's right. The average median price is about 75 pounds online, which, guys, come on. That is a great price for an 18-year-old blended whiskey. And I've always sung praises about the Chivas Regal 18 years old because it is such a mass-produced, above-average whiskey in my opinion, often overlooked because it's a blend and not a single malt whiskey. So yeah, definitely never ever putting the Johnnie Walker Blue Label back on my shelf again, even though I have one sitting right behind me. And you know what? I don't have any Chivas Regal. Oh, there, I got one over there. Yes, because I drink it. My friends come, we drink it. You know, it's a hot afternoon. You drunk some ice and drink whiskey. It's the Chivas Regal 18 years old. Why? Because it's 60% cheaper. It's a better whiskey, better flavor profile, and I think a far more superior constructed dram than the Johnnie Walker Blue Label, which by the way is all marketing hype and gimmicks. So what are you gonna do? Yep, get the Chivas Regal 18, forget the Johnnie Walker Blue Label. This next one I'm a little sad about saying, but the Highland Park 12 for me just does not cut it anymore, right? The Highland Park 12, Highland Park is one of my favorite distilleries. You know, they've got some amazing expressions out there, but I don't think I'll go out there and buy another Highland Park 12 because it's just not exciting anymore. You know, it's bottled at 40%. Nah. Who gives a shit? I feel it's very, very overly malty now. It's a bit thin on the mouthfeel. Again, the flavor profile doesn't excite me anymore. Very, very sort of underwhelming whiskey for me. I don't know if it's the later batches that have done that, because I remember the earlier Highland Park 12 being very, very good, or maybe my palate was inexperienced. I don't know, probably both. So yeah, definitely not going out there and buying the Highland Park 12. Doesn't really do it for me, even though it's one of the cheaper whiskeys out there. You can get it for a median price of about 41 pounds, which is not bad for a 12-year-old dram if you ask me. However, for sheer drinking experience and something boom that, you know, explodes in your face, I would go for the similarly priced Glencadam 10-year-old. That's right, the Glencadam 10-year-old comes in at about 46%. So definitely a lot more percentage points when it comes to the ABV. It's slightly more expensive than the Highland Park 12, I'm going to admit, which is maybe about 44 pounds median price, which by the way, I don't think that's much of a difference. To me, that's almost the same price, right? But dude, first of all, flies under the radar. It's easily available. And just a very, very good drinking experience, you know? And I know I keep saying drinking experience, but drinking experience is such a personal thing. So if you know what I like and if you resonate with my palate, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. So the Glencadam 12, underrated whiskey in my opinion, you know, almost the same price as the Highland Park 12, but with a much bigger impact on your palate, on your nose, on your overall drinking experience, you know? So yeah, for that reason, yeah, I would not be buying the Highland Park 12 and putting it back on my shelf. But yeah, if you give me another bottle of Glencadam 12, I'll definitely shell out 44 pounds for it. Did I say Glencadam 12? I meant Glencadam 10. There's no integrity on this channel. We don't do research. No. And last but not the least, the Oban 14, which I think is highly overrated whiskey in my opinion. 43% ABV, Oban 14. And guess what? It goes for 88 pounds. 88 pounds is the median price for an Oban 14. Are you kidding me, Diageo? Get a grip. Get a grip, Diageo. This is ridiculous. Oban 14 should not cost 88 pounds. It's ridiculous. Again, very sort of one-dimensional drinking experience in my opinion, sort of middle of the road, pretty underwhelming. It seems like, I don't know, they don't care. Maybe they don't care. I don't know what it is. Used to be cult classic. I remember, you know, running after the Oban 14 because it was such a good dram, and I used to really enjoy drinking it, especially after it's a very sweet whiskey, so after dinner would be really nice. But I just don't feel that it packs the same value when you compare it to other whiskeys. And the one that I'm going to give you as an alternative, you are going to fall off your chair. I'm talking about the Deanston 18-year-old, which you can get for 3 pounds less for a median price of about 85 pounds. That's right, an 18-year-old whiskey, single malt, Deanston 18, bottled at 46.3%. My God, is that whiskey miles ahead of the Oban 14. It's unbelievable, right? That flavor profile, again, you know, I'm using generic terms like flavor profile, but you know what I mean. Just the overall drinking experience is so good. In fact, that was also my find of the year, the Deanston 18. You know, I believe it's matured in bourbon barrels and then finished off in virgin oak, which is a very interesting maturation process, if you ask me. And just, you know, just the flavors, the vanilla, the coconut, the butterscotch, just everything. And everything is so pronounced, so beautifully balanced. And I think that's what I'm getting at. So when I talk about my flavor profile or my drinking experience, I'm talking about this balance that a whiskey has, which is an almost intangible quality that whiskey drinkers will attribute to a certain dram, right? Which is balance and overall drinking experience. And don't ever let anybody tell you that something intangible is not important. Just you being able to drink it and feel good about it, smack your lip. You know, when you drink whiskey and then you look back at the glass and go, That's what I did with the Deanston 18. And to me, that sort of solidified its reputation in my books for something that was, you know, I believe genuinely priced at 88 pounds for an 18-year-old whiskey. Please, the world is going crazy with whiskey prices, and to get an 18-year-old whiskey that tastes that good for under 90 pounds, I think in today's climate is an absolute steal. So for sure, do not buy the Oban 14. It does nothing, but instead get a whiskey that is 4 years older, has a higher percentage of ABV, and is just such a fantastic dram that I can't tell you. So yes, look out for the Deanston 18, and if it's sitting right next to the Oban 14, pick up the Deanston 18, hit the Oban 14, let it fall on the floor, go and purchase the Deanston 18. That's my opinion. All right, that brings me to the end of my rant, my unhinged rant, where I now kind of realize that I just shat on three Diageo whiskeys. Look, I have nothing against Diageo. It just so happens that, you know, they've jacked up the prices on their whiskeys. I don't think they're really putting that love and effort into the whiskeys that they need to, and I think that is a sad thing, because I think Diageo is an absolute gem of a company. It's shaped the whiskey world that we live in today. You know, like Pernod Ricard has, like Burns Stewart has, like LVMH has. But I think Diageo is in the danger of falling behind these giants if they don't up their game, frankly, in my opinion. You know, their flagship whiskeys like the Johnnie Walker Blue Label, the Lagavulin 16, the Oban 14, they really need to step their game up if they want to come back into the race for, you know, single malt glory, if you like, or whiskey glory, if you like, not single malt glory, whiskey glory, if you like. And I think it's really important that, you know, they step their game up. As far as the Ardbeg is concerned, look, everyone gets it wrong once in a while, though Ardbeg does get a lot of it wrong. Believe me, I'm not just being just, you know, a fanboy, an irrational fanboy for no reason at all. But yes, I think the An Oa is, you know, just so kind of over-engineered, not exciting. That it really doesn't do it for me. Decent dram, buy it, you know, get a bottle, drink it for breakfast. I don't know, do whatever you want with it. But yeah, so yes, thank you. I hope that helped. I hope you can get hold of these whiskeys that I've mentioned and prove me right. If actually even better, find both whiskeys if you can. Do a side-by-side comparison, and then let me know in the comments if you feel otherwise, and I would really appreciate it. Also, let me know if there are any other whiskeys that you wouldn't buy again and put them back on your shelf, and instead, what would you buy? I'm really more interested in that. So thank you for being part of this journey. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed this video and got something out of it. My name is the Malt Activist. Until next time, peace.